This is Chuck Sachs for Indie Opera Podcast, and I'll be chatting with David Bloom, the conductor of Les Enfants Terribles by Philip Glass that is being produced by Opera Omaha as part of One Festival 2019. Hello, David.
Hi, Chuck.
Congratulations on your debut with Opera Omaha.
Thank you.
How has this experience been going for you?
It's been really great. I really love working with this company. It's a really awesome city, very happening city with a really vibrant art scene, friendly people, curious people. It's really it's a great place to do the kind of reinventing of opera that Opera Omaha and the One Festival in particular are really championing.
Well, that kind of answered my next question, which was, what would you say to convince other artists to work with Opera Omaha? Is there anything more you want to say about that?
Well, the company just has this incredible vision and curiosity and a penchant for new, innovative work. They're a very supportive company, extremely organized, awesome staff. There's great food in Omaha.
That there is. I've already found 2 bakeries. And it's now, is this the first work by Philip Glass that you've conducted?
No, it hasn't. It isn't. I've done some of his concert work. I've done music in similar motion with my group Contemporaneous a couple of times. And I've done one of the knee plays from Einstein on the Beach, again as a concert work. So this is my first of his operas.
Opera.
Right.
I mean, personally for me, it's one of my favorites of his. I mean,
Yeah.
the 3 copto-based ones are just so concise. Mm-hmm. And for me, he wasn't working with Robert Wilson on any of them. Right. So that there's this structure and strength to them, and there's not it's not 5 hours.
Right.
Not to say some of those aren't interesting, but this is more what I'm used to American opera being, about 2.5 hours or under, mm-hmm. and a real strong story and characters you can grab onto.
Yeah, very strong story, and I think this one comes from a particularly important place from him, very genuine story for him, having spent time in Paris, especially as a young person. And having participated in the kind of youth culture that the characters of this piece inhabit.
Right. It said, if I remember, he wrote the novel when he was detoxing from opium.
That's correct.
Addiction.
Yeah, over the course of 17 days in 1929.
We're all the better for it.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you begin learning and preparing the score?
Right. So it must have been sometime last year, middle of last year, that I got the score. And yeah, it's a very tricky score. The vocal writing is very quick and wordy, and also harmonically kind of floats on a different plane a lot of time from the piano writing. The orchestra for this opera, by the way, mm-hmm. is just 3 pianos. So that's the entire orchestra, and that's the only version. It's not a reduction of an orchestral score. That was the original intent.
I had forgotten that.
Right.
Because when I saw it at BAM, there was just so much going on stage.
Oh, you saw it at BAM.
I did, with the Susan Marshall production, right. And I fell in love with it.
Right.
Just because that's the kind of work I do. I believe in bringing the singers and the dancers into the same space and making them both kind of do some of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, was there any section or sections that really required some extra attention from you?
Wow. Yeah, there's this one scene that's the longest scene by a long margin, in which the kind of most important bit of the plot develops. Elizabeth, the sister of Paul in the story, who's sort of, the two of them are creating this wild world that they inhabit, so in this scene she sort of is playing out her demonic machinations of setting up the other characters with one another.
Is this where she pushes Gerard to go and propose to Agatha.
Yes.
And then just completely breaks everyone in a sense.
Exactly. And the sort of motivation for it is to keep Paul, her brother, close to her. That she learns that Paul and Agathe share love for one another, but each is too afraid to tell the other. So she sort of makes it such that that Agathe is out of the question for Paul, so she can't. She won't lose Paul.
It is so devious because, in offense, I mean, she got married first, although he died.
Exactly.
So, but she was probably going to move away, maybe or not.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But no one else can.
Right. So the music for that scene is phenomenal. It's really, really amazing, and it also there's a lot of interpretive room in Philip Glass's music, which is fascinating. It reminds me actually of Handel in a way, because there, who's another composer who I love, and there's interpretive space musically and dramatically for the choreographer and the director. There are all sorts of ways that you can bring yourself into the score and into the story and your own ideas. And Scene 17 was a particular point of lots of musical decisions to be made about, is this all the same tempo? How can we really tell the story with the music? So it took me a lot of figuring and experimenting to do that.
Yeah, it's that kind of feeling connection between Glass and Handel. Anthony Roth Costanzo has just been making a real shift through that kind of work. Fascinating.
Right, I forgot about
juxtaposition of it.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, yeah, I do get that.
Right. Yes, I totally forgot about that project, but absolutely, there is really a similarity between the approach.
So now, if you have the choice, do you prefer to conduct new or contemporary operas over more traditional ones, and why?
Right. I really love doing both. In fact, professionally, I've really done exclusively contemporary work, and I really love working with composers and also just working with music that's been created recently. It has such like an immediate resonance and relevance to myself and to the other artists and to the audience that I find really compelling. And I do love doing traditional repertoire. So I would love to do more of that.
But meantime, you're the co-artistic director and conductor of Contemporaneous, right, which is a New York-based new music ensemble you co-founded.
Right.
And you're also conductor of Face the Music, which is a youth orchestra.
Right.
And resident conductor of The Dream Unfinished. And as of 2019-2020 season, you're becoming co-artistic director of Milwaukee's new music ensemble, Present Music.
Right.
When do you sleep? But seriously, can you tell me a little about each organization and what makes them unique and why you feel you need to have so many of them?
Right. That's a great question. I'll start in the order that you addressed them. So Contemporaneous is the new music ensemble based in New York that I co-founded. We are a group of 22 musicians that's really all about the biggest imaginations of the most compelling artists and composers of today, and we really want to make we want to live in a world in which optimism about the scope of art that can be created is essentially boundless, and we do everything we can to make that happen and bring to life some really massive, exciting projects. Face the Music is as far as I know, the nation's only new music ensemble of teenage musicians, and it's a really amazing thing that young people are playing music by contemporary composers, working with those composers, working with lots of guest artists, and also that they're writing for their peers and performing music by their peers. It's an incredible thing to be involved with.
Yes, because I would imagine most youth orchestras is doing the traditional canon, maybe up to the 20th century, and maybe the concept is someone get trained to be conductors. Not. There are some programs that are pushing them to be composers too, but I mean that's exciting that they're surrounded by and seeing that you can have a career working in living, breathing music right now.
Right, absolutely.
That they're not just dead, century dead composers.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that their music is wonderful, but
right, yeah, but yeah, they're also. It's just an incredible thing to see their creativity and be involved with it.
And then there's the Dream Unfinished.
Right. The Dream Unfinished is this amazing orchestra project for that combines activism and social. Sorry, we may want to edit this. I'm trying to remember the. So the Dream Unfinished is an orchestra project that combines dialogue about social justice with music, and so often we produce concerts with a chamber orchestra where we have also speakers from a specific realm of social activism. For example, our current project is on climate justice. We've done a project on immigration, on the school to prison pipeline, the women of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's a very diverse orchestra, and our programming is really diverse as well. We really prioritize music by composers of color and voices that are typically not heard on a concert stage, and really want to bring forth dialogue about social justice in a place where it's not commonly found in classical music.
You might want to talk with Opera America, because they are just starting that next new program that looks at African American and Latinx writers.
Right. Yeah.
And it would make sense to hear. It's like, here's an orchestra that's like looking for this kind of work and built for this kind of work.
Absolutely. Yes. Opera America is doing great things in that realm.
They are.
Yeah.
Many realms. Then now present music.
Present music, yes.
Because you have nothing else to do.
Present Music is a really amazing organization that's been championing new work in Milwaukee for 37 years now. Their founder and artistic director, Kevin Stahlheim, is stepping down at the end of this year. And he's been a friend and a mentor to me for the past 3 or 4 years. And I've had the pleasure of conducting the ensemble on multiple occasions. And I'm really glad to be working with Eric Segnitz, who's a violinist and has been with the group for all 37 of those years.
Wow.
On taking the group into its next chapter. It's yet another vibrant city that really has a wonderful attitude and hunger for the arts and for new arts.
It's unfortunate. I mean, living in New York City or even the West Coast, you don't think unless, say, you know about opera and certain the opera companies out here that are doing new works.
Yeah.
You don't think of that being, new work being the home in the center of the country, but it really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know you've got to go, but in closing, what's your next opera production coming up? I kind of know what it is, but let you tell me about it.
Sure. The next opera production is a show called Chunky and Heat with Experiments in Opera, who I know has been featured on Indie Opera Podcast. Yep. It's yet another wild and crazy experimentation with the form of opera, where there's one libretto, one story by A.M. Holmes. It's a sort of an L.A. story. It's a really fun one, and also has a lot of subtle and meaning. Mm-hmm. The music is by 6 different composers.
I've seen that.
Because
they are kind of a collective in a sense.
Right. So there's this sort of patchwork of music. It's not the scenes are sort of intertwined with one another. Sometimes they even flow from one composer to the next without stopping. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to see how it goes with sort of weaving all of these different voices into a single musical fabric.
Well, I am too, and I will be there.
Excellent.
Definitely, and
Great.
I'm going to wish you a great performance now.
Thank you.
And I'll see you again in New York.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jack.